Agriculture and tourism are two of Missouri's biggest businesses. If you plan it right, you can combine the two for family fun and learning. We'll visit some mid-Missouri locations where you can do just that next on Show Me Ag. Welcome to Show Me Ag. I'm your host, Kyle Vickers. Combining agriculture and tourism is a fairly recent phenomenon as more people are separated from the farms their ancestors grew up on. Families who want to get out in the country and see how crops are grown and livestock are raised have a lot of opportunity. And right here in mid-Missouri, Boonville, county seat for Cooper County, has a rich history and a diverse agriculture base that offers a nearby glimpse into agriculture today. We have as our guest Katie Gibson, the Boonville Director of Tourism, to talk a little bit about some sites and events to visit. Katie, Boonville has a rich history right along the Missouri River, goes back to the early days of Missouri.
It does. Boonville is one of the oldest cities in central Missouri. Dating back when Lewis and Clark came up and first explored Missouri and utilizing the Missouri River as our highway to heading out west, and shortly to follow were the Boone family. And so that's where Boonville really received its name. His Daniel Boone's two sons, Daniel Morgan Boone and Nathan Boone, founded a salt lick, a natural salt spring, on the other side of the river from Boonville. And they started a very booming salt business and became known as the Boone's Lick, or Boone Slick, as it commonly was known as. And so they started boiling off the water, packing the salt, and shipping it downriver to St. Louis for food preservation at the time. And as people started wanting to get that itch to head west and explore the western frontier and started heading this direction, they followed the Boone Slick Trail out to just north of Boonville on the river in what is now Howard County side, and out where the Boone Slick area is. And the first family that came over and followed that trail that started came to the south side of the river to where Boonville now is Hannah Cole and her 9 children. She was widowed on the trek out here, but she's considered the pioneer mother of the frontier because she was the first woman to settle this far west and to be by herself. Her and her 9 children is quite a feat, and so there's still reunions today from the Cole family. She had very deep roots in the community and started a ferry business back and forth. And as the riverboats started coming up north, started heading out west on the river, that Boonville became quite a stopping point, quite a hub, and really huge booming location back in the days.
A great shipping point for in those days, and then a lot of agriculture, vineyards and apple orchards and so on sprung up around there.
There was, in the early 1900s, Boonville was called the vine-clad city. We had, a lot of the German immigrants came over and started populating, especially right around the Missouri River area, because it was so much like the Rhine in Germany, and so they brought a lot of that, their agriculture, with them. And so we had the Haas Brewing Company, and we had several vineyards that surrounded the area. Unfortunately, they're no longer in there as Boonville has continued to expand, but they're, back in the mid 1800s too, there was, hemp and tobacco were always big crops.
But there are still some vineyards and wineries there in the Boonville area.
There are, Boonville, just its central location. We're very close to several wineries, and our closest one being Les Bourgeois, which is just across the river, headed towards Columbia. And we have some north of us in Glasgow, and west of us too. So there's several
And very scenic views along the river, and I know the Katy Trail goes right through town.
It does. We are really technically the only part of the Katy Trail that you have to cross over the river. We have the old original train bridge there, which the city now owns, and we're working with the Katy Bridge Coalition to restore the bridge. The first phase of the bridge restoration is actually almost done, and so you'll be able to actually go from the Boonville side out to where the lift span is. Coming up here in about a month, we have the ribbon cutting, and in August 2nd, or excuse me, April 2nd. That
Katy Trail cuts right through some of the prime farmland in Missouri and in the Midwest, but also through the wildlife area as a result of flooding of earlier years.
It does. It's a beautiful way of getting out with your families, being active, and getting to explore some of the beautiful Missouri countryside. And like you said too, you go from farmland and down into conservation areas, and The Katy Land Trust have done a really good job of keeping that beautiful scenic scenery on both sides of the Katy there for guests from all over, and it's brought tourists from all over the world, and literally, and we have I have a map at the Katy Depot, which is where our office is currently, and we have visitors from all 50 states and 25 other countries just in the last few years.
Biking or hiking on the trail.
Biking and hiking, yes.
Well, there's an interesting site that has come to your area, Cooper County, the Budweiser farm, and we. It's just outside of Boonville. It's one of the most high-profile attractions in the area. It's Warm Springs Ranch, 340-acre farm with a 25,000 square foot breeding barn. That's the location for the world-famous Budweiser Clydesdales. Located just east of Boonville, Missouri, sits Warm Springs Ranch. It's the sole breeding facility for the world-famous Budweiser Clydesdales.
Grant's Farm had always been the breeding operation for the Budweiser Clydesdales. So in 1990, we split the breeding operation in half to expand it, and we started breeding horses in Southern California as well as Grant's Farm. They always wanted to bring the farm back together and make it one big farm again. So our bosses started looking for a piece of land. They found this in Boonville, gorgeous, gorgeous property. And so they started building, and so in October of 2008, we actually started bringing horses in here, and we've been here ever since. We have around 80 horses on the property. We have 3 stallions, usually around 35 mares, and the rest of the numbers are all in the babies, the yearlings, the 2-year-olds that are growing up, and the 3-year-olds before they actually enter our mare herd, and that makes up our 80.
The Clydesdales' origins date back to Scotland in the early 19th century, where they were bred for their size and strength.
They started off in Scotland, as they at the time, from what I understood, they needed bigger horses to pull wagons, and then they also had the knights in armor, that the armor was getting heavier and they needed bigger horses to hold it. So the people in Scotland started breeding what they called a Flemish stallion. I don't know what that was right now, and I assume probably the biggest mare they had, and over the years they got bigger and bigger horses, which turned into the Clydesdale breed. The Bush family has always been horse people. So in 1933, at the repeal of Prohibition, August Bush Jr. wanted to give his dad a present. So he told me he bought a new car, and I guess his dad was pretty mad. He goes, "We just got re-legalized, what are you doing?" And he said he'd give a signal, and around came 2 teams of Budweiser Clydesdales. So his dad was thrilled. So August then, he sent the team of horses to the White House to deliver the first case of post-prohibition beer to Roosevelt. Roosevelt was pretty, was the big guy in re-legalizing. And Al Smith was the governor of New York at the time, and he actually took the team over there and presented him with a case of post-prohibition Budweiser as well. Ever since that, the public's seen it, and it's just went crazy. We've over 83 years now that we've had the Budweiser Clydesdales as the icon for Budweiser. So when they're born, they average about 150 pounds, and she was about our average size. It seems like a lot. It seems like 150 pounds is quite a big baby, but when you think about them growing up to be 2,000 pounds, it's not quite as big. He chews on everything. Well, he's a typical baby. Babies chew on everything. You do get attached to the foals. I mean, it's hard not to. You see them. It's nice when we have some of the little guys that think you're their buddy, so that's kind of neat. Other ones just want to hang near mom. They're a little skittish and aren't quite as friendly yet, but as time goes on, they'll get friendlier and friendlier. The females are more active, and those the ones that are likely to get up really quick and go to nursing, where the males are going to lay there a little bit more and just kind of hang around, and you might have to go in there and stimulate them to get them up. But I do see, as they get even at this age, the males are more, I wouldn't call them friendlier, but the males are more apt to come up and check, more curious. Where the little ones are going to be, the girls are going to be a little more standoffish, and takes a little more coaxing to get them to say, "Okay, you're okay." She's just now starting to figure out that I'm okay. Actually, I grew up with thoroughbreds, and when I turned 21, I was offered a position to travel with our West Coast division of the Budweiser Clydesdales, and of course I accepted that. So traveled with it for 5 years, started staying back home in Southern California, breaking some of our young horses and working with them, keeping our spare horses in shape. 1990, again, we added the breeding farm there, and then in 2008, we made the big move to Boonville. There's 4 of us total, 4 full-time, and yeah, you stay busy, but everybody really enjoys what they do, and everybody has their thing that they really like. So with 4 of us, yeah, we keep the place run pretty good. We have 3 traveling teams. We use 8 horses when we're hitching, so they always travel with 10. We have an East Coast hitch, which is based out of Merrimack, New Hampshire. We have the West Coast hitch, which is based out of Fort Collins, Colorado, and our Midwest team, which is based out of the brewery in St. Louis. All of our wagons, this is an actual wagon that has been used on the road and will be used on the road if they need to. And all of our old wagons are old Studebaker wagons. So this wagon is a 1902 Studebaker. It's original, and it weighs about 7,600 pounds empty. We start tours on March 26th this year, and we'll end in the weekend just after October, the end of October. So we have 2 tours every day except for Wednesdays, a 2 o'clock and a 10 o'clock tour. So what you need to do is, yeah, they get online at www.warmspringsranch.com, and they look to see if what tours are open and put in for it and come out and visit. Oh, you don't get to see all the horses. We always have some horses around the barn, the stallions, of course. You keep them close. We have a couple of geldings, of course, the mares and babies. It's more of a tour. You get to see horses, but it explains everything Budweiser Clydesdales. As far as this facility, our 3 traveling teams, the traveling equipment, you'll see the harness, even the braiding, the washing, every part of the behind the scenes and what you actually see when you see the Budweiser Clydesdales on tour, you'll learn about.
I'm sure our sleepy is.
We also offer a VIP tour, and it's in between the 10 o'clock and 2 o'clock tour. And with that, now it's $500, just a set fee. You have a wagon and a tractor pulling the wagon, and you can have up to 16 people, and it's your tour. And Ed actually goes out into the pastures where you can pet the horses and stuff. Then you come back and you get an abbreviated tour of the barn, like what the regular tour would be. And yeah, and people really love that one as well.
As John mentioned, public tours as well as VIP tours of Warm Springs Ranch are available from April to October. For more information, you can visit the website below. And I might mention that these registrations, you can do it online. You have to register to be there. There's 2 options each day, morning and afternoon. But these things are getting booked up way ahead of time because it's been so popular. I believe he told me they had 26,000 visitors last year. So a lot of people coming to see that.
It is. We're very fortunate to have them as our close neighbor, and really appreciate that they chose that such a beautiful countryside there, right outside Boonville. It is a beautiful
location of Schlegman Farm that's been there for years, and they took it. And I must say that I was out there that day that we did the filming, and one of the nicest days we've had. Wonderful animals, wonderful hosts, beautiful location. It really is something to add to your area.
Yeah, they are.
Because you're a tourism-centered area and you're director of tourism there, you've got something going on year-round. Let's talk about some of the events that you've got coming up this year.
Yeah, we continually have events going on throughout the year. Stay pretty busy, just not only in Boonville, but also in the Boonslick area and the area of the town surrounding Boonville. But really starting out April, coming up, we have our Big Muddy Folk Festival, which is ran through the Friends of Historic Boonville, and that is in our historic theater right downtown with Thespian Hall, which is the oldest theater this side of the Alleghenies. And it was restored as a opera house in the early 1900s. And so it's in the 70s, it was restored completely. So the outside exterior looks like when it was first built in the 1850s, and the interior is like it was when it was the opera house. So it's just absolutely beautiful. It's a bluegrass and folk festival that happens every April. And then in May, we have our Peddlers Jamboree, which is a great way of utilizing the trail, and it's a kind of a rolling music fest. And this year will be the 8th annual, and it comes from Columbia over to Boonville. There's several stops along the way where you can get food and and beverages and music all along the way. It's a great family event. And then it ends up in Boonville, and so there's a big
All along the
collaboration
trail?
all along the trail. There's the cut-through extension trail that comes from Columbia, and then that rides through the bottoms and through Rocheport. You go through the tunnel, and from New Franklin over to Boonville, and end up in our Kemper Park. And so people can either camp out or stay locally in our local hotels or bed and breakfasts, and ends up with a really great festival, music festival all evening. And the next morning you have a big pancake breakfast and you ride back the next day. So it happens every Memorial Day weekend. And then in June we have our Heritage Days. It's been a huge tradition of really celebrating our history and our culture as Boonvillians. And Heritage Days happens. It's always the third weekend in June, and it's kind of becomes a big reunion weekend as well, where everyone comes back to town, and it's a whole weekend of activities and celebrations that go on. We have a dog show and the Mutt Strut, and we have a carnival going on and a big parade that happens on. We have craft booths and food vendors and quilt shows and just a whole number of activities that happen. This year we're going to have a big 4th of July, old-fashioned 4th of July celebration with a big fireworks display, and then there's the Cooper County Youth Fair that goes on.
Which there'll be a lot of show cattle and show horses at that fair.
They do, and a lot of small animals, a lot of 4-H, local 4-H groups will be showing off their hard work for the year, for sure.
And then going into September, you have some special events as well.
We do, and September is beautiful. Leading into the fall, August, we have the Festival of the Arts at the end of the month, and that's also put on by the Friends of Historic Boonville at Thespian Hall as well, and that's a classical music festival. And then September, we bring in the Steam Engine Festival, and that's put on by the Missouri River Steam Engine Association.
And that's talk about agricultural history. All the old tractors and steam engines from days past, threshing machines. That's quite an event.
It is, and I take my kids there every year. It's pretty amazing to see the processes, and they even have some horse-drawn and mule-drawn all the way up through modern tractors. They do. This year is going to be the Alice Chalmers Year, the Gathering of the Orange, and they have a new museum that they set up there at the Brady Showgrounds, and that's just south of I-70 off the same exit that you get to the War Springs Ranch at. And it's been a very long running
A great opportunity
festival.
to see how agriculture has evolved in 100 or so years.
That's for sure.
And if you've been out and seen some of the brand new 400 horsepower tractors as compared to what the way people did it a few years ago.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing to see the history and the evolution of the farm equipment and how hard people had to work, as opposed to the equipment we see nowadays with the GPS and how much technology has changed.
They weren't just sitting back in their cab at that time. Yeah. And then that's the first weekend in September. And then what's
usually the second weekend?
The second weekend. But there's one thing that excites me is the barn quilt, which is not just your county. There's a Boone Slick. Talk a little bit about that.
The Boone Slick Area Tourism Council has put together a barn quilt tour. They have a very large, beautiful catalog that they put together that kind of shows you the area. It's Cooper County, Howard County, and Saline County. Total, there's close to 60 barns on the tour, and so you can kind of pick and choose your route where you want to go. And it also has wonderful information in there as for each of the towns that are also in that area. And so you can make a great outing of it and see some beautiful scenery and the beautiful barns. Each homeowner got to pick their own design, and it's a huge process of undertaking of painting these huge metal panels and getting them mounted up onto the barns. And
my wife's into quilting, and now she's wanting me to do a barn quilt on one of her barns at home. But this is a lot of fun. Different designs at each barn, and they're usually put on the gable end. This is something that's become real popular throughout the Midwest. There's a barn tour across Iowa, but as far as I know, this is a big one for Missouri.
Yeah, this is a big one, and it's nice too because everything can be seen off of a blacktop road, so it's not taking you down gravel roads at all. You can easily see it from main blacktop highways.
And then, so that's leading into the fall here in September. Let's keep going. Sounds like you've got something going on all the time.
So Labor Day weekend, the same group over at the Boonville Historic Site have a wonderful heritage festival there, and so there's a great gathering and a great way to learn about your history and the way that the crafts used to be done. And so there's we have wood quilters and loomers and musicians and basket makers and all kinds of great.
Again, a lot of history there.
A lot of history.
And then in your area, I know that going into October, festivals at Air Rock.
Yes, Air Rock and Blackwater both have great fall festivals that are held the same weekend. It's usually the second weekend in October. And they have a kind of a heritage fall and crafting that goes on. Blackwater is a great little community that was a railroad community, and so you can easily take in the Blackwater Festival and the Air Rock Festival in that same weekend. The crafts and the heritage crafting and the heritage.
And Air Rock's a National Historical Site, as I understand, and very well preserved as an 1800s type of town. And they also have a great theater there.
They do. They have the Lyceum Theater. Really for our area, it is just an amazing theater. They bring in actors for the season from Broadway, so the actual town itself is only a population of 56 people, and once the actors come in, I think it over doubles in size. They just professional, amazing productions that they put on from June through September. And then this year again, they're doing a Christmas Carol in December.
Where they do. So what else? I know that there's still a gaming boat in Boonville. It's very popular, and that no doubt draws a lot of people to town. What other kinds of things are there to do in Boonville?
That's what's nice about Boonville. We have a great variety of things for people to come and do. Modern things like the Isle Capri Casino and Hotel. And then there's a lot of history that's still preserved. We have over 400 sites and structures in the National Historic Registry. So we have a wonderful walking tour that kind of takes you through town and through the history of a lot of these old preserved buildings and sites. Currently, I'm down at the Katy Depot, but we're also getting ready to open a new visitor center and museum. It's going to be a river rails and trails. We have a half-scale model Lewis and Clark keelboat. We're going to have a wagon there that's on loan from the Lewis Miller's Mitchell Antique Car Museum, which is another great attraction in town. And we're going to have a lot of train memorabilia, kind of a transportational history of Boonville and the area. We had two different railroads that came through, and before I-70 came through, Highway 40 was really your main way across the central part of the state. And with the riverboat history, Boonville was always a really big transportational hub of central Missouri. So
and that new museum will be open sometime later this spring?
Yeah, we're looking at May, or hopefully by June we'll be all done. The museum side will be kind of a work in progress, as we'll be gathering things and putting the exhibits together. But the visitor center will be open hopefully by late May and early June if possible.
So how do people, that's your job, how do people find out about what's going on and the schedule and what's going on in any particular time of the year?
The easiest way would be to go to goboonville.com, which is our website. We keep an up-to-date calendar of everything that's, all the events and everything that's going on in the area.
So if you were coming to Boonville, other than the Budweiser Ranch, I think was just a great place to visit. We had such fun out there, and the animals are wonderful. The staff was wonderful. It's a wonderful site. What would be your next favorite thing to visit in Boonville?
One of our newest attractions, and I kind of started to mention, was the Lewis Miller's Mitchell Antique Car Museum. It's a private collection by a gentleman that lives there in town, and it is just absolutely beautiful collection of antique wagons and cars. It's the largest collection of Mitchell cars in the world, and he's just done a beautiful job of putting it all together. We've had groups come through and individuals come through for tours. It's by appointment only, but if you come to the visitor center, I can take you on a tour at any time, so it's not difficult to get into at all. We also have the Roslyn Heights, which is the Daughters of the American Revolution headquarters. Their mansion is downtown, and they do tours as well. So we have a lot of really beautiful old historic homes, and just south of town there's a couple beautiful plantation homes to do tours. So I'm really drawn to the history of the town and the beautiful architecture. So those are some of my favorites.
It is. We visited several times, and it's a wonderful place to visit, and it sounds like something being added all the time. So plenty to go see, and something for the entire family. Dads and moms and kids will all enjoy it. So
Yeah,
I want to
that's
thank
for sure.
you. Thanks to Katie Gibson for being with us tonight, and to John Soto of the Warm Springs Ranch for spending time with us as well, and the nice Clydesdales were awfully fun too. That's all the time we have for tonight. But before we go, we'd also like to thank you, our viewers, for tuning in to Show Me Ag. Be sure to tune in next time for another look at a topic touching rural Missouri. For everyone here at KMOS and myself, good night. We're also very interested in what you have to say. So if you have feedback you'd like to share with us, you can email us at showmeag@kmos.org or find us on Facebook.